Well, thank you everybody for joining us today on this warm Thursday. Today at the Virtual Lunch and Learn, we are joined by Ashley and Megan with Autism Society of Ventura County. They have been wonderful partners at VCCF, and we are so happy that they're here today to be able to share their stories, their programming, their passions, and just what's next for the Autism Society. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Ashley. Ashley Pope serves as president of Autism Society Ventura County, where she helps to lead the organization's work to create connections, expand exclusive programming, and advocate for autistic individuals and their families across Ventura County. She has served on the organization's board of directors for the past 8 years and currently leads as board on the board as president. And she's fantastic, by the way, if you haven't met her already. Ashley is passionate about sharing the work of local civic engagement. It is the passion that inspires her to chair the advocacy committee to address issues such as inclusive education, emergency preparedness for people with disabilities, and equitable access to community programs. She also continues meaningfully to several initiatives that celebrate autistic culture, including the recent annual Celebrating the Autistic Art Mind Show, Celebrating the Autistic Mind Art Show, and Ought to Run. In addition to her nonprofit leadership, Ashley works at the membership development manager for the Ventura County Chamber of Commerce, a role she's held for 10 years. Ashley is an experienced entrepreneur and business owner and loves sharing resources and working with the business community. She lives in Ventura with her husband and her 13-year-old son who has autism. So, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us, and I'd love for you to introduce Megan Meadows.
Yes, that would be my pleasure. Thank you so much. We so appreciate being here today. This is Megan. Help me welcome her. She is the executive director of Autism Society Ventura County. She joined our team in September 2024, bringing more than 16 years of leadership experience in the nonprofit sector. She brings deep experience in youth and family programming and has led impactful community outreach initiatives that connect families with resources, support, and opportunities to thrive. Megan is passionate about building strong, inclusive communities where individuals with autism and their families feel supported and a true sense of belonging. Through advocacy, partnerships, and community events like Ought to Run, she works to expand awareness and support for thousands of families throughout Ventura County. And we are so lucky to have her here at Autism Society Ventura County.
Thank you. Welcome both. And we're going to jump right into our presentation. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat, raise your hand as we're going through the presentation. We'll also have time at the end of the presentation too.
Yes, thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here today. We're so grateful for the invitation. So thanks to everyone at the VCCF team for having us. Today we will be presenting on first we're going to start out with what is autism and really understanding autism. And then we're going to talk about our programs and a little bit of our advocacy and the change that we're hoping to make in the community. So thanks for joining us. A little bit about our history and who we are. We were founded in 1994 by local parents, educators, and professionals to help support newly diagnosed families and develop need for local resources. Our mission is to create connections, empowering everyone in the autism community with the resources they need to live fully. We believe every individual deserves lifelong access and opportunity to be fully included members of their community. So to talk about what is autism, you may have everyone's heard something. Hopefully everyone in the room knows someone with autism that's part of their life. And it's always a pleasure to just kind of dispel some of the myths and really help people to understand what exactly autism is and what it means as a diagnosis. So autism is a developmental disability. It affects how the brain processes and uses information, impacting information processing, communication, sensory processing, emotional regulation, and social behavior. It's very much a spectrum, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means in a couple slides. When we talk about the diagnosis of autism, this is really important. There are 3 criteria that result in an autism diagnosis. One is difficulty with communication and interaction with others. One is restricted interests and repetitive behaviors. And the third is symptoms that affect daily functioning in school, work, or another area of life. So the person has to experience all three. And sometimes what we see is someone might experience the first two, but the third one is not really something that's proven, and that can result in delay in diagnosis. So that's definitely be a struggle. As you can imagine, we get a lot of questions about the cause of autism and the increased rates of autism. And that is now 1 in 31 per the CDC. Autism Society, we don't spend much time speculating about the cause of autism. We leave that to the organizations that want to do that work. We focus on providing programs and services and making life really great for people who are living with autism already. We used to kind of leave our answer at that and just say that's not our lane and we stick to our lane. However, with the way that autism has been recently portrayed in the media and discussed at the highest powers in the world, we have started to kind of shape our answer a little bit differently. We do believe and know that most of the perceived increase in cases is due to the research around early intervention and early identification. There was also once a diagnosis called Asperger's that no longer exists in the DSM, and that is now an autism diagnosis. So that's a whole other very relevant diagnosis that's just been kind of wrapped in. And we really do celebrate that as more therapy and services have become available and the stigma around autism decreases, more families are seeking out diagnosis when previously they would have gone without. So that hopefully that kind of addresses and gets that one out of the way for us. I love this slide. This is a little bit of a view of the autism spectrum. So throughout history and even today, a lot of people think of the autism spectrum as linear. And we think of individuals with autism as more or less autistic. We get a lot of questions or even self-identification or families identifying their person as high functioning or low functioning. And at Autism Society, we don't use that language because we know that autism is not truly a linear spectrum. It is more of this other photo on your right side of a color wheel that explains that autism we can have a lot of difficulty in one area and we can really excel in another area. And somebody who has high support needs or low support needs, their needs may fluctuate based on life circumstances or just whatever's going on in a day even. So we prefer the terms high support needs and low support needs over the functioning titles. And I believe, sorry, I'm having an issue with my cursor almost. There we go. There we go. All right, so here's another example of how that color wheel can really vary. Different aspects of autism are represented with the different colors and blocks. And so each person with autism can exhibit a different unique combination of characteristics from each aspect. And this really highlights the diversity of experiences with autism. Autism is lifelong. So there used to be a lot of focus solely on children with autism, and it was almost as if people just grow out of autism. And so you might notice in our logo, for example, we don't use the primary colors or the puzzle pieces anymore because that is what really gave the perception that autism is just a childhood thing and that we need to focus on children. We consider autism to be a culture, much very similar, obviously, and in line with autistic culture. There's a lot of similarities between people who live with autism, and their experience is often similar to the disability community as a whole, kind of molded by the way that the world treats them and limits them and what they're told from a very young age about what the possibility over the course of their life may be. And their lives are sometimes kind of sculpted by that fight to break through those barriers. And that is a big piece of what creates culture. Autism is a community and a unique human experience, one that we celebrate and love very much. People may learn to mask their autism or try to appear less autistic, but having autism will always be part of who they are. Celebrating those differences and honoring diverse ways of being is key to creating inclusive environments. And Megan is going to talk to us a little bit about ASVC and the many, many programs that we offer. Yeah, thank you. So, now that we've kind of reviewed a little bit of the basics regarding autism, I wanted to share a little bit about what we do as an organization to support autistic individuals, families, caregivers, and the community at large within Ventura County. So, um, I apologize. I'm getting over being sick and I have a little bit of a lingering cough, so I apologize if I pause to cough. But at Autism Society, we believe autism is a natural part of human diversity. And that belief shapes not really just our programming, but also how we operate as an organization. And we're continuously working to be a truly neurodiversity affirming organization. And what that means is centering autistic voices in our programs, our leadership, and our community conversations to make sure that lived experience informs the decisions that we're making. And we commit to that so much so that it's written into our bylaws that 20% of our board members need to be autistic. We also actively work to ensure our policies and procedures reflect neurodiversity affirming values, promoting autonomy, dignity, and self-determination for autistic individuals. Excuse me. We also strive to create environments where autistic individuals feel respected and supported as who they are and not pressured to change who they are in order to belong. And really, we try to work to fix the world around the person rather than the person specifically. And while an important thing to remember too is we do partner closely with families and caregivers, but we also really work hard to honor and respect the identity of the individual and their desires and passions when we're looking at the programmings and the offerings that we have. So this is kind of a breakdown of our programming to date. And we have grown tremendously and this list keeps growing. But we have ongoing programs like our virtual art classes. We have monthly story time and sensory play groups at the Camarillo Library and recently started at the Port Hueneme Library. We have a book club for ages 18 and older, as well as friends, family, and community members that focus on books written by disability authors. That's hosted in Ventura and Camarillo. And then we host a chess club and math tutoring sessions at Cal Lutheran. We have a variety of connection groups. These are our social meetups and outings for teens, teen girls, young adults, adult women, and families. We do things like bowling. We have monthly meetups at Xander's Game House, family days at the park, sensory-friendly movies, and more. We also offer direct support with our support groups, who is facilitated by an LMFT for parents and caregivers and autistic adults. We have an online resource directory and a support hotline. And then we provide education by hosting free monthly informational webinars that are hosted by a combination of us and also community partners. And we offer trainings and presentations for a variety of audiences. And then lastly, a big portion of our work is rooted in advocacy, which I will let Ashley dive deeper into in just a moment. We have 5 large annual events. We just wrapped up our 3rd annual Celebrating the Autistic Mind Art Show, where we featured 65 autistic artists. We welcomed over 700 visitors and sold over $6,000 worth of art, which 100% of those sales go directly back to the artists. And this event in particular really breaks down barriers and helps the entire community understand and appreciate autistic culture. And we hope some of you got a chance to come out and see it, but if you didn't, we'll be back next year in March. It's at the Museum of Ventura County. Coming up on March 28th, we'll be hosting our annual World Autism Day at the park in kicking off Autism Acceptance Month. In July, we host our annual summer pool parties at Kimball Park in Ventura, where we lease out the pool area for 2 hours after closing to give our families a judgment-free zone to have a summer pool party. It's a ton of fun. We welcome over 400 guests each day over the course of 2 days. Every October, we recognize autistic individuals, educators, first responders, and other organizations who are doing amazing things to support the autism community in our county through our Awesome and Autism Awards Dinner in Simi Valley. And lastly, every April, in honor of Autism Acceptance Month, we host Ought to Run. It's our biggest celebration of neurodiversity in Ventura County. And this year, the event is going to be April 26th, and it's hosted at Cal State University Channel Islands. And we'll give you a little bit more information about that as well. We wanted to share with you a little bit of a glimpse of our work in 2025. As we mentioned, we started off as a smaller organization, and we've been really working hard to grow and expand our offerings. And we'll be able to provide the full impact report if anyone is interested to see our full information. We can provide that at the end here. Our organization started completely volunteer led, and only up until about 9 years ago, the organization welcomed their first paid part-time staff member. And now we have 9 dedicated volunteer board members that work alongside a team of 6 staff members and many, many volunteers who help us carry out our mission. Last year, we were able to increase our impact by expanding program offerings, focus on engaging areas of the county that we haven't necessarily engaged in the past, and continue to connect with the community in meaningful ways. And one of the ways that we were able to do that is at the end of last year, we were able to launch our Autism Friendly Business Certification program. This is really in thanks to a generous donation from the Ventura Kiwanis Club, who supported our startup costs, and also for the first 15 Ventura-based nonprofits to participate in the pilot process. So the program really has 3 main goals. It's to increase understanding and acceptance of autism and neurodiversity in everyday community spaces, which then in turn results in a more accessible Ventura County. To empower businesses with tools and training to better serve all customers. And to create welcoming environments where autistic individuals and their families feel respected and included. It's a benefit to the business by building a reputation as an inclusive, community-minded organization, improving customer experience and staff confidence in providing support, and also enhances customer loyalty and experience. And then in turn, benefits the community by promoting accessibility, acceptance, and belonging for autistic individuals, fostering stronger connections between local businesses and the people that they serve, and contributes to a more compassionate, inclusive Ventura County for everyone. We are still in the launch phase with one nonprofit who is fully certified. It's A Heart of an Angel, an organization that provides recreation opportunities for youth in Ventura. And we have many more businesses and organizations to follow, but we are very, very excited to really launch this program in full effect. All right, so I'm going to turn it back over to Ashley to talk a little bit more and dive deeper into our advocacy work, which is a huge part of what we do as an organization.
Thank you so much, Megan. So as far as advocacy, one thing I want to touch on is as nonprofits in Ventura County, there are so many different events that we can go out and table, and we can go out and be present at and provide resources. And what we really did as an organization is in on what exactly it is it that we're offering. It's more than just programs. It's really a shift in the belief about autism. We're offering a different way to see autism, especially for people with autism. and or families who have a recent diagnosis. So rather than seeing autism from a deficit lens, we're really trying to promote a more true and inclusive definition that celebrates the strengths and provides resources where there are struggles. And so I want to put that out there. When I know sometimes the advocacy word in the nonprofit spaces can be a little bit of a triggering point, and I'm really excited to talk to you about our advocacy today so that you can really learn what we're doing. So with our advocacy, we have an advocacy committee that works each week to review local school board, city council, county supervisor agendas across Ventura County. And we have a committee that gives public comments to educate decision makers about the needs of people with autism throughout Ventura County. The results are clear. We have been successful at elevating autistic voices and really empowering self-advocacy. So empowering people with autism to speak up for themselves in those spaces and also every other space that they are engaging in. And second, conversations have shifted to be more inclusive, and people with disabilities are now part of conversations that they were previously left out of. I wanted to share a couple of recent examples with you. A shout out to Ojai Unified School District. They are recently working to launch a caregiver early intervention CTE program, which stands for Career Technical Education Pathway Program. You may have, heard of CTE programs and like wood shop or auto mechanic. They're launching one that is all about caretaking. And we delivered a comment asking for and offering to assist with adaptive programming so that students with disabilities can participate in this CTE pathway, recognizing that adults with autism can be wonderful, caring, and understanding caregivers. They responded positively and are eager to work with us. So this has been, our advocacy committee has been working for, I'll say, about 3 years. And really, it's just been the art of inserting ourselves into conversations and really having the community understand that people with autism and people with disabilities should be a greater part of the conversation. Another example that we're so excited about that happened last year is there was a city council meeting in Camarillo, and they were discussing Camarillo's homeless strategic plan. ASVC delivered a comment reminding city staff and council that many people who are chronically unhoused may have undiagnosed developmental disabilities and may need services offered and delivered in more accessible ways. The housing consultant who was there present at the meeting really heard us loud and clear, and they reached out to meet with us and asked us for identifying survey questions to add to their homeless count for this unhoused survey or homeless survey. We use unhoused, but I'm using Camarillo's language in here as well. Our recommended questions, exactly as written, were adopted and included in the city's strategic plan report and in their pilot. And the results were staggering. So in this initial survey, there were 40 individuals who are unhoused in Camarillo that were surveyed. All of them had said that they did not have a disability and did not need accommodations. However, with these extra questions that we asked, 10 or 25% of them identified at least one developmental disability characteristic despite not reporting a formal disability. The complete data was even more telling. 7 or 18% reported repetitive behaviors or routines that were difficult to change. 5 or 12.5% reported challenges in social interaction. 4 or 10% reported sensory overwhelm. And 2 or 5% reported prior IEP or 504 supports, which for those of you that are familiar with our world, that means that they were likely diagnosed with a disability when they were school aged and needed accommodations to access their education. This data, once published, will finally give us the backing we need to ask cities and counties to take a good look at how they're providing services to people who are unhoused in Ventura County and offer supports and accommodations to allow them to meet the need of people with autism or other developmental disabilities who are unhoused. This is, really groundbreaking. I can't wait until you guys really see the result of this work. But we have long said that people who are unhoused and also in the prison system, unfortunately, are disproportionately autistic. There are a lot of people with autism in those systems, and anything that we can do to collect data, even as small as a snapshot of 40 people here in Ventura County, is going to help us get to those bigger data numbers and hopefully allow for additional funding for government systems to take a good look at deploying more neurodiversity affirming or accessible ways of serving and actually I believe personally that this can be um, a huge piece of the solution to solving the unhoused situation that we have here in Ventura County. So I wanted to share that with you guys, that that's kind of what our advocacy looks like, two recent examples. When we look at our advocacy wins, we have seen a lot of shift in policies being, how policies are being approached and inclusion in mind. Even now that we've been at this for a couple of years, we're really seeing conversations about inclusion take place without us present, which is obviously the goal. We have a ton of relationships that we've built with city staff and with elected officials and school board members and teachers. We had a really awesome opportunity that launched from our advocacy for emergency preparedness workshops, where we had the opportunity to help nonprofits, first responders, and families get prepared for the next Ventura County emergency, because we all know it's not a matter of if, but when. And I talked a little bit about our events earlier. You'll see on the screen, we had 40 plus events in 2025 within the community, sharing our resources, sharing our opportunities to engage in our programming. We also had 10 programs on autism basics training. We had 14 city proclamations and school district, and also like the Port of Hueneme does a proclamation for us for Autism Acceptance Month. So we're really being seen, and our presence has really changed the way that people think about autism in Ventura County, which is exciting to share. I also want to, sorry, really quick, one of the things that we have established as a maybe eventual priority, and we really want to at least have a feasibility study on it, is a health equity center. One issue that we hear about is that people with autism are not getting adequate dental care. They're not getting adequate health care. They won't go near a doctor's office. The sense, the smells, the feelings are all really, really difficult. And so one thing that we would really love to see in the future is like a training center or a space that can help to desensitize people with autism to receive adequate healthcare in Ventura County. And so I'll just throw that out there in case anybody knows of any projects that we could work together on for that mission. This is a little bit more about OttoRun. I know Megan mentioned it earlier. We are actually to the point where we have over 3,000 participants, and altogether, we know we bring over 4,000 people to CSUCI. This is by far one of the largest events in Ventura County, and it is the largest autism resource fair on the Central Coast, perhaps even in the state of California at this point. So we'll have close to 100 resource vendors. We have a free kids zone, so much fun. So if you're interested in creating a team or becoming a sponsor or volunteering, participating, there's so many ways. And we really hope to see you all out there at OttoRun. There's nothing quite like it. And now we have the opportunity to take any questions that you guys have. We would love to take any questions.
First of all, Ashley and Megan, thank you so much. That data you shared is, I feel like, such a huge step for our community, and it's very exciting. I think I met you what, four years ago, I think, Ashley. It's amazing to see how much the organization has grown.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for the support of VCCF and the funders who have come through for us. That's how we got Megan over here. That's how I stopped being acting executive director coming out of COVID. We had a little bit of a rough time, but we are so, so grateful for all of the support. We just applied for our first grants, like I want to say maybe 4 years ago. So we were solely funded through OttoRun for a very long time. And that accounted for 100% of our budget for the year for all of our expenses. And obviously, as event costs have increased, and then COVID having a couple of virtual OttoRun years, we were really in a place where we needed to diversify our funding sources. And VCCF has been a huge help in making that possible, and really in believing in our mission to help us expand. So thank you, Colleen and team, for that support.
Yeah, of course. Want to open up the group? Any questions, comments, connections?
Not really a question so much as just a comment, but I just wanted to say, like, it's really nice to hear how the organization has grown for you guys. When I was in university, I did sort of like a mini internship with the Down Syndrome Association of Los Angeles, and I know one of the biggest struggles they said was that they didn't have the resources or the time to dedicate as much to their cause as they wanted to because everybody was a volunteer and a parent, and they just had so much on their plate that they couldn't dedicate nearly as much time as they wanted to. So it's just nice to hear that you guys are doing well and that you're able to have such strong, volunteers and everything else to kind of be successful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We appreciate that.
I see Brian put a comment in the chat about collaborating on the work in dentistry. He's gotten to know several local children's dentists and would love to help explore this idea and possible partnership.
Yeah, maybe we can have a pop up
Yeah,
at Kids Streams, test it out. Yeah.
that too.
Yeah,
Actually, I
that'd be
assume
great.
our networks are probably very similar, but I've gotten to know a couple of the local dentistries really well. Our kids, are all in the same schools, and the way you shared about that, I just wonder if someone would be like, like I haven't thought about that, and like we all know there's so many good people in the community, and this the work you're doing to bring the awareness and appreciation can lead to such great change. So if that's helpful, happy to chat offline.
Absolutely. I think bringing together at a minimum a community working group just to discuss.
Yeah.
The solution right now is anesthesia. So
Mm,
kids who have developmental disabilities are usually put under every couple years to get a teeth cleaning and whatever other dental work they may need since their last one was 3 years ago. And
yeah.
it's a solution that we should all find unacceptable,
Yeah.
and there's got to be a better one out there. So that, I mean, that's something that I would love to kind of brainstorm on, what that might look like to be able to desensitize or come up with a process just that looks different. And we do have some awesome children dentists in Ventura County who do their best. So I feel like that's less and less common, but there's still a significant part of our community that is the way that it goes. And
Mm,
also healthcare. I mean, we saw through COVID that there were a lot of people with developmental disabilities who should have survived that did not, disproportionate levels. And we just have to figure out this healthcare piece because there's definitely a component of what families can do and what individuals can do, but the great majority of this issue really is coming from the other side and really finding a way to offer more accessible healthcare, including here in Ventura County.
yeah.
So yes, I'd love to connect with you on that, Brian.
Let's do it.
And Amy as well. I'd like to help. Awesome. Maybe we need to set up another call. We appreciate you guys. That'd be really great. Just to brainstorm and we have some ideas. I think we're to the point where maybe we're getting ready to really launch a feasibility study with a consultant, but we would absolutely love to have another look just because I mean we're still small in the sense that we don't want to, invest $10,000, $20,000 into a study without really investigating every area and getting as far as we can. So those are just some of our thoughts on that. And I'm really glad that I wasn't quite going to say something about that just because it's still a in the clouds dream for us at this point. But I just had a feeling this was the right group. So we'd love to chat with you both.
That's the best part about this group. You never know what's going to come out of it. The
Yeah.
partnerships, the connections. Mary, I saw you just came off mute if you'd like to share.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mary.
Hi. I'm so glad I could make it. I think a lot of things hit home on a personal level and on a professional level for me. I had two questions. One, what is the criteria to be a board member, especially if you have someone who has autism and wants to be a board member? My son Clark wanted me to ask. And then the other one is the justice involved individuals who you're finding to be on the spectrum. I would love to talk some more about that. As you know, I work on finding people jobs who have justice involvement or who have disabilities. That's what Goodwill does. And we would love to explore that component of it and how maybe we can reduce that number of people who are coming through our program who we realize maybe justice evolved because they have a disability. And so, yeah, I'd love to explore that some more with you at some point.
Thank you, Mary. For the board membership, I can definitely pass along the application. We're super proud right now. We have 4 board members on the autism spectrum on our board. Each brings their own unique set of skills. I know Clark, you brought up Clark. Clark is a wonderful artist who we love having his art at the art show, and we would really value his perspective. So I can send that over to you. And on the justice involved piece, I think that is one of the most heartbreaking pieces. One of the most heartbreaking things that we deal with at Autism Society is those calls from parents or loved ones. And what we find is that most of the time when the person becomes justice involved, they don't have a formal diagnosis. And that usually has to do with the stigma and the just the ideas around autism that were in place when these kids were going through school and going through their early life, where the families felt it was best not to diagnose. And then they get into legal trouble and they want to lean in on a diagnosis that is not there for them. So that is, I mean, pretty much as far as we've been able to get. But yes, this absolutely needs to be more of a conversation. And if we could get some type of screening or process going in the court system, yeah, I mean, this is a huge, huge issue. That's, I mean, massive. So thank you, Mary,
A
for
lot of
your advocacy in those
advocacy.
spaces.
Yeah.
It is. It's a lot of advocacy. It's hard when somebody doesn't have the diagnosis because they don't have those legal protections. When someone's in the legal system and fighting a sentence, when it gets to that point, it's really hard to say, well, now is the right time to assess and look for further legal protections. Right. It's just we have to catch on before that. So the advocacy that we all do around early intervention, early diagnosis, early services, early supports, accommodations, IEPs, that is the prevention. That is the answer here. But there will continue to be people who slip through those cracks, and we need to be, I think, collectively aggressive about figuring out solutions, because we get those calls. I'll say like maybe once a month we hear from someone in the area who is at their last, they've tried everything, help a parent that is just falling apart, or a grandparent or a friend that knows that this diagnosis would have happened and that this person would not have been in that situation. So big problem. Thank you, Mary.
Lauren, hi, I saw you came off mute.
Yeah. Uh, Personally, I just wanted to thank you, Ashley and Megan, for the work that you do. I'm the mother to a 9-year-old son who's on the spectrum. And so this is, on a personal level, just a great conversation. And I am blown away by the advocacy piece, especially like the hyper local, the fact that you are reviewing things on a weekly basis and showing up. Just know, as someone in the parent community, it's very much appreciated. And then on a professional level, I work at Women's Economic Ventures. I'm on the fundraising side, but my ears kind of perked up when you were talking about the autism-friendly business designation. And so maybe that's something we talk about a little bit more offline. I would love to learn more about how you identify businesses, and kind of what that looks like, because I definitely, again, personal and professional, feel like that's a need, and I would love to learn more about that.
Yeah, I will share that we have like an open interest form that any business can fill out. And we are still technically in the pilot phase, so we're really working specifically with nonprofits in Ventura. But we are getting ready to expand. And I know that we were in contact with someone at Women Economic Ventures, so we would love to reconnect.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd love to get your information, and I can put you in touch with our team, and we can help you go through the process if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
And that's also an especially important connection, because there are so many people who have autism that end up self-employed, because having the structure of traditional employment can be difficult. And so that is something that I think would be really awesome to have the team trained. There's a couple of different components. One is like a physical and sensory accessibility of any physical space you have. And then one component is an all staff training that we bring everyone together and go through what is autism and what does it mean to be inclusive. And then there's also an individualized component for like what are the specific pieces of your organization or your business that need to be inclusive. So it's pretty in depth. We wanted to make sure it wasn't just like a check the box and sticker on the window, which I know personally from Weave, that is not how you guys operate. Anything that you guys do would be 100%. It's a conversation that we should absolutely look into further because it's very fitting, and I'm sure that the training would be really great for your clients.
Yeah, thank you. I'll drop my information in the chat.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Lauren. I know I saw him jump off, but Bruce from EDC was also on here too. So you are very well represented with the business community. So it's great connections.
Hi, Bruce. Oh, you said he jumped off.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I'll let him
About
know you say hi.
Ashley, Megan, I just wanted to say thank you again. It felt like that was such great information. Certainly learned a lot. And I know we touched upon, ways we can support y'all, but maybe if you can just highlight again, maybe 3 quick ways, large or small, how can we support y'all?
So right now is definitely our biggest fundraising moment with Ought to Run. So really introducing our cause and our organization to anyone who might be interested in sponsoring or having a team or coming out to volunteer. Ought to Run is definitely on our mind. And the website for that, if you guys want to check it out, it's ought2run.org.
It's on the screen. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. It's on the screen now.
Yeah.
Ought2run.org. You can see it at the bottom. And then I would say that just really we're really always looking for partnerships within the nonprofit community and to really do some of this advocacy work hand in hand with other nonprofit organizations. I love that it was noted that it's hyperlocal advocacy. We're not doing state advocacy, national advocacy. That's just not where our voice is most needed. Our voice is most needed right here in Ventura County. So we're always looking for those partnerships. And then what would you say is our number 3?
I think just really following along with what we're doing, and if there's ever opportunity that we can collaborate or do something together. We post a lot on our social media in terms of what we're doing and our programming. So our social media handles here on the screen. And also we have a monthly e-newsletter um, that you can sign up for on our website where we share information. And we also do share community news. So if there's something new that's launching within your organization that is supportive to the autism community, we include it in our e-news.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary, for the note in the chat about helping to train businesses to be more inclusive with the hiring component. That's definitely an element that we review in the training for the certification. So we have lots to connect on. Is there any other?
Yeah, have you got since the pilot with Ohio Unified School District for the caregivers aspect, have you talked to other schools about this opportunity? Do you see it growing as well?
So we are, that was like last week.
Oh, okay.
That was
Very
relatively
new.
recent. But yes, so we have really comprehensive policy guidelines to guide what we advocate for. I don't know if we can go back to that screen, Megan. Here,
I actually stopped your screen share so we could all see each
Oh,
other.
okay. No worries.
Sorry.
So no worries. I'm like so confused on the Zoom screen. So we have really comprehensive policy guidelines, and they're on our website under advocacy, where you can look and see all the things that we advocate for, and like to make sure that it stays in line with who we are as Autism Society. And yes, career technical education programs, that is something that we keep an eye on. We comment or like we give feedback on pretty much all new programs that are delivered, and also have consistent conversations with like VCOE and the SELPA, which is Special Education Local Plan Area. We have a couple of people on that committee that are there to just like speak up for it's really kind of unacceptable to have CTE programs that don't involve like a inclusive aspect, because that's like why they were founded, and that's why they're in our school systems, to be inclusive.
students that are not college bound, especially students with disabilities. So we're kind of a constant reminder of the need to have more people who have disabilities in the school systems go through career technical education training programs. Um, and yeah, I mean, I would say some districts are like stronger than others in those regards. Our community college system is actually great in that regard. But there's always more work to do. And so take a look at our policy guidelines. If anyone is interested in learning more about our advocacy committee or getting involved, that is absolutely something we're always looking for, is more community advocates and more people to kind of sift through these agendas and help to write comments and deploy and just be part of that positive messaging out there.
Thank you. And Brian, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot since we had a conversation earlier this week, would you mind sharing a little bit about your partnership with Autism Society?
Yes. Brian,
Calling you out.
let us know if you
I,
need
I
help.
lost
We're
I
happy to.
lost the mute button. Sorry there. You would think we'd figure out all the Zoom stuff at this point in our day and age. So for those I have not met yet, I have the privilege of being the board chair and president of Kidstream Children's Museum here in Camarillo. And we are proud of our long friendship and partnership with Autism Society Ventura County. Long before I joined the board 3 years ago, Autism Society of Ventura County actually was one of the first people who saw the potential of community nonprofit partnerships amongst organizations that are looking to increase access and equity across all dimensions of a human. And they were one of the first donors. And we're excited that when we open, and so stay tuned on that, that will be happening this year. Kitchen will be a place where children and their caregivers can learn, be inspired, explore, and play in ways that meet the needs of every type of child, regardless of socioeconomic background and ability. And so we are grateful for the partnership with Autism Society Ventura County to make sure that we're approaching this from a perspective of expertise and understanding. I mean, everything that you covered in the introduction today about autism. I mean, we don't have to go Google to try. We have our experts in our community, and we also know that as we continue to build Kidstream, the programming and the exhibits and the experiences, that we're not just going to say, "Hey, we heard from you once, we did it," but it's going to be an ongoing partnership that is responsive to the needs of our community. That hyper local focus that someone mentioned a moment ago. That's what I'm looking forward to, and knowing that we have Ashley and Megan as not just partners, but I would say friends of the organization. I'm really excited for the change that could be made together for the children growing up in our community and as they become teenagers and adults. I love that lifelong perspective because early childhood intervention can change experiences for a lifetime. And so grateful also for VCCF for creating these networks and communicate and connections too.
I would just, yeah, thank you so much, Brian. We were so excited. I mean, this was definitely pre-COVID, maybe in 2017 or 18, that it was just an idea from like a mom in Camarillo
Yeah.
that was like, we need to do this, but we need to raise a lot of money. And we had some connections to a couple board members, and our board at that time, which had me and one other board member who's on the board currently still, 'cause obviously we have to roll off eventually. We really thought of this as a legacy project. Like, this is a project that Ventura County will always know was, that we were involved, that Autism Society was
Yeah.
involved. We sponsored the sensory room at
Mhm.
$150,000, which I cannot stress what that really meant for our budget at the time. We were tiny, like two small
Yeah.
nonprofit or two part-time staff, I believe, at the time. And we were just like, we need that. Our families go to Santa Barbara for these
Mhm.
inclusive experiences, and or many of them don't, and many of them just don't have those experiences. And also, we want a seat at that table because we want, older kids to be able to access developmentally appropriate for them, right? Like we don't
Yeah.
want to see that there's like a little kid zone and then a big kid zone. And if, a bigger kid that has autism is more interested in or more able to learn at the pace of the little kid zone, we don't want that to be a barrier. So what can we do to really enter that space? And so we made this the largest contribution we've ever made to anything
Mhm.
in all of Autism Society's 35 years. We really believed in the program, and we're so proud that you guys have gone through everything, COVID, the fires, and really like just kept going, not given up. We're so excited for that opening. So thank you for
Thank
that,
you.
Brian, for all of your work towards the
Yeah.
cause.
I always tell people, good people find other good people, and we do really good things together. And this feels like that group for that. So.
Yeah. And it was cool because it led to, I know with Michael, a conversation with the Kiwanis Club to help put sensory kits together that families can
Hmm.
utilize in their experience going through the museum, which is great too, and something that we talked in length with Michael and his team about. And so it was so cool to have an additional collaboration with Kiwanis to do that as well.
Yeah. Megan, at our board meeting last week, we're getting ready for grand opening. That's the worst kept secret in town. But then there, Ashley mentioned, the sensory room, and that's going to be a place that's like hyper focused. And we've gotten such great advice from you on how to design that well. But I think one thing that stands out to me as a parent also too is not this is where the kids go if they, but it goes like that is a special like a focused place. But as you mentioned, Megan, there are other parts of the pop is saying wherever you are in the museum experience, like it will be welcoming and inclusive,
Mhm.
and those kits are a great example of that. And so I always tell people I couldn't be more proud that level of appreciation for asking the good questions comes from the work that you've done to increase,
Thank you.
understanding and awareness, the advocacy work. It's working, and so thrilled to see a group of like us gather to see how much more we can do there together.
Yeah, it's exciting too to see community. We're seeing more community organizations just really being more intentional about serving the full community. We see it
Yeah.
with, for example, we see a lot of touch a truck events now having a sensory hour, a sensory friendly hour for like egg hunts coming up or and things like that. And those are the types of really intentional things that show the community we want to make sure every single person can do these like fun exciting community programs and have that sense of community and belonging that we
Yeah.
talk so much about.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot. That was great.
Yeah, thank you,
This
Brian.
conversation has been wonderful. I just wanted to echo what Melissa had put into the chat. This has just been a conversation on a personal and professional level. So thank you, everyone that joined us today. We'll share Ashley and Megan's contact info if you have any follow-up questions or connections. We'll send out the recording. Yeah, if you see that link, if you want to sign up for more communications and invites for events like these, please sign up. We're so happy to have you here on the call. We do have another Lunch and Learn coming up. The next one is for April 16th. April is Earth Month, so we'll be focusing on our environmental organizations and initiative. We're going to be joined by Ventura Land Trust and their Open Space Collaborative. So we'll send out an invitation for that as well. Otherwise, thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation today. I'm so happy we were all able to join. And Ashley and Megan, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us.